Hello, my cookies. Welcome to Russell Cooks. Today I have mussels. This is another back to basics, a real simple recipe. Now let me tell you why I love mussels. 1, they're delicious. 2, they're absolutely easy, weeknight friendly. And 3, they're inexpensive. A lot of people don't understand how cheap mussels can be. I think I got mine for $3 a pound. You can't even get chicken for that price. So I got 2 types. I have some from Prince Edward Island. This is from Canada. Those are grown on ropes. They're essentially farmed. They're delicious. They're like a standard. I also got some Maine mussels that were wild harvested. No farming, no ropes, nothing. Just out and collected. We're going to do a little side by side if I can tell the difference. And throughout this recipe, because it is a back to basics, I'm going to do a base recipe. I'm going to highlight places where you can make it your own. You can add embellishments. You can kind of take it up a notch if you want. Now that we have the recipe, let's gather our ingredients. You are going to need about 4 pounds of mussels. They come in 2-pound bags. Easy. 2 bags. You can do 3 pounds if you want. Do 2. Have the recipe. Whatever floats your boat. I have already gone through. I have washed them and I have debearded them. Now, sometimes you might see that they open up. If there's any cracked or broken or open ones before you wash them, before you rinse them, go through, find them, throw them away. Because during the rinsing process and washing process and scrubbing process, they might open up because they're like, oh, hey, there's water. Let me open up and whatnot. If you do throw them away after the fact, you might end up throwing away half your mussels. No one wants that. But if they open up, give them a light little tap on the counter. Don't break them. And look at that. It closed right up. We know he's alive. We know he's good to go. You're also going to need olive oil, white wine. Move. Derek, stop moving the wine. You need some pepper flakes, optional. You need some garlic cloves, some thyme, some bay leaves. Another optional is some minced parsley. I have some left over from the other day. Butter, not optional. And then some crusty bread that I've toasted up. You want to serve with some crusty bread. Soak up all that delicious sauciness we're going to make. Now that we've gathered our ingredients, let's get started. First things first with this recipe, get your oven rack in the lowest position. Get any other oven racks out because you're going to have either a big pot or a roasting pan. You don't want it bumping into anything. Get your oven 500 degrees. You want it hot as possible. We're going to create a nice steamy environment. Going to kind of cook these mussels through pretty gently, which is really nice. They're going to be really tender. They'll have a little bit of texture, and it'll give us time for them to kind of absorb some of that delicious flavor, that wine, that garlic. So for the garlic, I'm going to mince up 3 garlic cloves. I'm going to add a little extra because there's a couple small ones here. Use a garlic mincer, use your knife, whatever you want. Prep is as easy as mincing some garlic and opening a bottle of wine. What's better than that? Talk about weeknight friendly. It's a great date night dish too. I exaggerate a little bit. You still have to debeard and scrub the mussels. Debearding is just, sometimes they have those little, it looks like a little mini beard on the bottom. That's what they use to cling to rocks and ropes and such. You just need to take that off. It comes right off. And for the white wine, you're only going to be using a cup. So make sure the rest of it you want to be able to drink. So use a nice one. I got a Sancerre here, Chablis, Sauvignon Blanc. These are great wines to use here. All right, we got our garlic, we got our wine, we got our butter and all our other stuff. Pretty much good to go. All right, I have a tablespoon of oil heating up over medium heat. I'm adding my garlic immediately. Going to heat up with the oil here. And I'm also going to put in some pepper flakes. Again, optional. You don't have to add any spice here. Now, if you wanted to do something a little bit more fancy, this is where you would do it. So if you want to do bacon, you would add the bacon in right here before the garlic. You cook it from a cold pot, you render it out. Chorizo is fantastic here. And then as soon as you add the garlic, once that, bacon or chorizo is kind of rendered out some of that fat, you'll add the garlic. And that's where you want to add. If you want to do tomatoes, you can do tomatoes. Diced tomatoes, a little bit of tomato puree, a spicy marinara. Add it in right then. Add it in with the wine a little later. And you don't even need to use wine. You can use beer. You can use hard cider. I wouldn't use something like whiskey or tequila. I'd stick with wine or beer. Wine's classic. Ooh, yes, I can smell that garlic and a little bit of that Aleppo pepper that I added. Just going to saute this up. You want it to be fragrant and then keep cooking it for another 15 seconds for a total of about a minute here. All right, we're right where we want to be. Now we're going to add a cup of wine. Again, hard cider, use a beer, have fun with this. All right, that's about a cup of wine. I'm just going to stir it in. I'm also going to add my flavorings here. Thyme, very versatile. If you're doing something a little bit more Spanish inspired, feel free to use different herbs. You know, I wouldn't necessarily put cilantro in here. I'd do some cilantro stems. Parsley stems, fantastic. I wouldn't ever skip out on the bay leaves here. I think they add a lot of background that goes really well with these mussels. You can absolutely have fun with this. All right, just gonna make sure that's incorporated. Bring it up nice and steamy. I'm gonna make sure that this kind of comes up to a simmer boil. It's hard to tell it's boiling because it's so shallow. You want the wine to cook off just a little bit. Remember, these mussels are gonna let off a whole bunch of liquid. So we're just gonna cook it maybe 30 seconds, 60 seconds. Want the flavors to meld, wine to cook off a teeny bit, and then we'll get our mussels in. We're right where we wanna be. I'm adding my cleaned, de-bearded mussels, 4 pounds. Want to be careful, you don't want to crack any of these shells. All right, just stirring them around, getting the lid on. Time to put them in the oven. God, this is such an easy recipe. The whole thing in the oven is going to take 15 to 20 minutes. That's it, and then you're done. You can use this time to clean up, use this time to toast your toast, do whatever you want. All right, it has been about 15 minutes. I think the mussels are done. Now we need to just finish them real quick. I'm gonna pull them out. We'll do our last little bits to finish this, and then we'll dig in. Don't forget the pot is hot. Now, something I should have mentioned earlier, if you don't have a really big, wide Dutch oven like this, like yours might be a little narrower and taller, you can absolutely use a roasting pan here. You can do everything I did on the stovetop with the roasting pan and then just cover it tightly with tin foil, unless you have a roasting pan that has a lid. Oh, look at this. Juicy, steamy, delicious looking mussels. Now, some of them haven't opened up. That's fine. That could happen. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just try and push these over to the side just a little bit. I want to get down into this liquid here. Oh, they smell so good. I'm just going to add my butter. Just going to kind of let it melt down in there. And if you come across your bay leaves and your thyme, you can go ahead and discard those. No biggie if they stay. Really not a big deal. Just gonna let that butter melt. Then I'm gonna toss everything around. Garnish with a little bit of parsley if you want. A little bit of thyme, get you out. All right, gonna get some of this liquid. Pour it over top here. Some crusty bread in there. Gonna garnish with a little bit of parsley. And why not a little bit of Aleppo? Let's get going. Let's dig in. Look at this. We got nice sauciness in this shell right here. Oh my God. It is so tender. The perfect consistency. I don't know how else to describe it. It's not chewy. This is al dente pasta consistency, and it's just bursting with sea flavor. You know what I gotta say? I like both of these. I think Prince Edward Island are fine, but I like these wild caught ones too. Look at this. You got a little bit of the Aleppo, a little bit of the parsley here, the garlic, the wine, it just comes through. Makes everything pop. Next time I make these, I'm probably gonna throw in a little bit of chorizo early on and get my garlic, maybe some diced tomatoes in there, sweat those down, same amount of time. I'm gonna add my wine, I'll add my mussels, I'll bake it that way. I'll finish with a little bit of cilantro. So good. Let's get a little bit of this crusty baguette in here, soak up all this deliciousness. I love what the butter does there too. It just adds a teeny bit of richness. Parsley adds a good amount of freshness. The wine, perfect acidity that balances with these mussels. Garlic, tons of background flavor. French knew what they were doing. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you like what you saw, don't forget to follow me on YouTube, Twitch. I'm also on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks so much for tuning in. This was Back to Basics Mussels. I'll see you next time. Take care.